Welcome to another episode of Marketing 101 for Chiropractors, where we keep you ahead of the curve, attracting more new patients and growing your business. Now, here's your host, Dr. D himself.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Marketing 101 for Chiropractors. Really cool guest this week, Greg from ChiroMedia. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks, Dr. D's. Nice to be here.
Yeah, man, this was a great conversation. We ran into each other a couple months ago down in Toronto there, and it was great meeting you. And we got into a great discussion about marketing. And I was like, man, we're forgetting a major piece of marketing, which is our internal. And internal is a big word, just like external. From the table talk to your business cards, to what you're giving patients, to flyers, to day 2 folders, and our television. I mean, what's in your waiting room? What are people doing when they wait for 5 minutes for you? And sometimes when you get behind, they're out there for like 25 minutes waiting for you. Let's be real here. If you're running any type of a decent practice, you do get behind sometimes. So this is why you're here. I'm really excited to talk to you about it. Tell everyone about where you got started as a chiropractor and what you're doing now with ChiroMedia.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and it's been great to meet you and others in masterminds, just to really truly craft our calling, basically to help lift chiropractic, lift all boats, and help chiropractors in practice. So where my niche is in digital signage. ChiroMedia is a digital signage app on Amazon Fire TV, and we're really disrupting I think we're disrupting sort of the ecosystem of how it's going to be delivered in the future. I think we're all used to using, like you said, pamphlets and maybe old school methods of whiteboards, or if they have TVs or computer monitors, they might be using PowerPoint and that sort of thing. But ChiroMedia has really evolved through my story. Basically, it came out of necessity to become something truly powerful that is going to disrupt how and really elevate all boats across the board for chiropractic. So a little bit about me. I'm a chiropractor. I'm still in active practice up just north of Toronto, in a town called Owen Sound, lovely Georgian Bay. And I've been in practice for 24 years. And I've been there, done that. So I started a practice. I bought a practice right out of CMCC. So kind of even just going before that, like knowing the kind of person I am, I owe it all to my upbringing, small town Ontario, and basically single income family. My dad was just sort of a Mr. Fix-It. So I grew up, bootstrapping, how to make money and go to university, cutting lawns, being a bartender, snow blowing, that sort of thing. So, but growing up, I was kind of the light holder under the hood with dad and never really turned the wrenches. But eventually I had to, out of necessity, if I wanted to make money. So I kind of learned how things worked, and I fixed broken things. That's kind of my mentality that I grew up with. So getting to chiropractic, I mean, we all did it. We did the hard things to become chiropractors. And even in chiropractic college, I didn't want to just be the average. So I wanted to know above and beyond what the technique package that, maybe a less principled college like CMCC was. So I made like over a dozen trips down to Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, in a minivan with a bunch of other crazy chiropractors. Became the gondroid, the club president, all that kind of stuff, and really wanted to hone my craft. So, when I hit the ground running, and not only that, I was involved in my class in 2001. There were some big hitters in that class. There was the James Chestnuts, John Minardi. He was in the Thompson Club. Sort of competitor, but we learned to get along because we just loved chiropractic. And, they had Friends in Chiropractic, which was a philosophy group. And so I dove into everything, technique, philosophy, and kind of was trying to carve my way to be as successful as I could hitting practice. And when I bought a practice up here, I thought that was enough, but quickly I learned that a shingle and your technique, if you focus only on that and only focus on, teaching chiropractic, you can quickly tank a practice. So I almost did that. I went from buying a successful practice, in today's terms was average around 120, 150 visits a week. Because of my ego, it kind of almost tanked around 60. And I'm like, what the heck? right? And so I had to figure out, it wasn't just my craft, it wasn't my skill set, it wasn't my technique, it was how I was delivering it, right? It was in my communication. And we're going back before Facebook, folks. Like, the tools you get to use with Enrico right now are incredible. I was crafting Yellow Page ads and doing the BNIs and doing the, the outreach and the screenings and all that kind of stuff, the grassroots kiss and baby things that politicians do. So it's like really getting out there to meet people, but it was my delivery of the message that wasn't hitting. And so I needed to hone my craft. I got some coaching. It was pretty amazing coaching. So I quickly went from, the 60 a week to onboarding tons of patients, quickly going to like 350, 400, just adding 50 a month. And eventually I'm in a practice of 500 a week. And I'm like, holy crap, I don't have time to talk as much. So along the way, I had to figure out, even just using these, remember the big old honkin' IBM monitors, Enrico?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had to say, like, I have to go less one-to-one to one-to-many. And once I realized that, I started investing in not just knowledge, but like, what does it mean to them? And this is when I started to tweak my brain about how does the brain, just like chiropractors honor how the body works and heals, I needed to learn and craft my communication on how the brain learns and believes and follows and buys. And so when I started honing that craft, that's where not only did my acquisition of new patients increase, but my retention just went through the roof, and my need for more new patients decreased because I had a bucket that didn't have holes in it.
Yeah. Great. I mean, yeah. And you learned, I feel like we all have to learn the hard way. And sometimes you try and help people and they coach them and they're young, and it's not that they're stubborn. It's just, they're going to have to go through those learning curves on their own. There's no fast. And as a coach now, you like, hey, listen, I'm coaching you. I've got the answer to get you from point A to point B a lot faster. And it's not that they're not digesting it. It's not that they just have to go through the learning curve of not failing, but just grinding a little bit to realize, oh, I don't have to grind in sixth gear the whole time to get to point B. And then you're like, yeah, call me back in a year and we'll get started again. And it's frustrating as a coach because you're like, well, the whole point of me is to get you faster. And so I've noticed that with a lot of chiropractors, but internally, the reason you got from 150 to 300 to 400 to 500 was the consistent, doing the consistent things over and over that work. You didn't start shedding and said, okay, now I'm going to teach less, or now I'm going to show them less, or now I'm going to explain less, or I'm going to take less x-rays on because I'm running out of time. You didn't do that. You kept doing the exact same thing and figuring out how to get the message to the masses. And that's what we're talking about today. Is you're a fixer, and I love it. And you fix something that I don't think was broken. I don't think it was ever constructed properly for the time of 2025. So some of the other things that we've used on media, my experience up in Calgary with that was like these sales guys would come by like, hey, do you want to be shown in PT and dental offices as an advertisement on the television or the local gym at Good Life Fitness? Do you want to be on the Good Life Fitness thing? And I'd be like, that's kind of interesting. And it was more of an advertising type screen promo, but everything else internally for our office didn't really have solutions. And there was one back in like 2010, I forget his name, who did have it. You'd hook it up, you'd buy it, it had a monthly subscription to it. But you've solved something better because it's all customized and you have many, many templates to play according to the chiropractor's philosophy and brand, right? Which is great. So you can pick and choose, you can do all this stuff, but I'm going to let you explain the rest. And why this is really important to have is because the subliminal messaging that we give our patients, like many of you, I know, look at which magazines you put in the office. And many of you do not have the main Cosmos and Time magazine and any of that in your office. Why? Because as soon as they open it up, it's all pharmaceutical ads. So I know a lot of chiropractors will not have those magazines in there. And they won't have, Cigar Aficionado in there either, right? So you don't want to promote smoking. You don't want to promote pharmaceuticals. And these are the things that we do on that because we're conscious about the sublit. But what about the rest? What else are they hearing in the office? And there's little things that we think about, even with design. I don't know about you, but I always kept my office kind of open or semi-open on purpose. And, in 20 years, I've had maybe one person say, this isn't very private. I can hear what you're talking about there. I'm like, yeah, it's not prostate exams and pap smears. This is chiropractic. You can hear whatever we're talking about. And they laugh, and I guess so. And they always hear something. Every day I get a patient's like, I heard you talking about, nutrition and vitamin D. Is it okay for a baby? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But the dosage has to be, and you get into this stuff that talks about wellness and vitality, which is great. But how does this transpire into media and what you do?
Yeah, I love that. Like, I have a semi-open concept as well, so like a T-bar, and the way that I position it is I intentionally made, because our adjustment time is minutes. Like, it's not like, sometimes it's less than a minute depending on the patient, right? So we intentionally started to say, like, look, captive, like, take every moment captive. And like, it evolved, right? I went from like these IBM monitors to like projection screens, and then I, eventually honed it down into, basically now you can do it on a, like I said, where it's on a Amazon Fire TV stick. You can stick into any television that has an HDMI port, so it's very easy to implement. But aside from that, the intention was, and what it's become is a win protocol. So the experience that patients have now through TVs, like, we're not taking the human aspect out. We're going into the environment behind the humans, and it's surrounding them. So it's basically, the TV at the front desk or beside the front desk or above it, we call that the welcome TV. I don't know if you've ever been to a very high-end spa or restaurant, and they usually have big screen TVs that have something that they want you to feel when you enter, right? And so whether it stimulates their appetite, or it just welcomes them into their environment, or is announcing something that's coming up. So that's the Win TV that we have. And then intentionally we have, well, you probably call them hot seats as well, right? Right before they come in for their adjustment. And so, we had anywhere between 6 to 12 seats out there, and people were waiting for their adjustment. So we intentionally put a screen in front of them so that they got their nose out of their screen. So we know we're competing. And like I said, like, Facebook didn't exist when I started practice, and that competition became very real for me. PowerPoints weren't competing with our scroll feeds. And so we needed to develop media that was competing for their attention. The hooks, the grabs, the telling stories, engaging them, bringing them into the story of what we're trying to tell them, right? And so we have an immersion TV that they intentionally, we said, well, we want them to wait. That's the adjustment before the adjustment, right? Because the subluxation sometimes exists between the ears. It's their toxic thoughts, it's their feelings, it's their fears that are making their bodies, go into fight or flight. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then the last part of that is the next TV. And so we intentionally want to, like, as they're leaving, sometimes we incorporate that in if there's only 2 TVs in the office because of, constraints in the physical layout. But ideally it's a totally separate TV that's on the eyesight on the way out of the practice that says, have an amazing day, well adjusted. It just elevates them, lets them know that something significant just happened, and congratulate them or encourage them to do the things that we told them to do in between adjustments, and to tell them, like, hey, what's next? Do you have your next appointment? Summer's coming. Let's rearrange your schedule around your holidays. Like, so it's all very intentional. It's almost like having an automated staff member that you pay, $2 an hour for instead of whatever you're paying them, right? It's just more automation.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it becomes part of your systems and procedures, right? Your SOP, because that's how all businesses should be run. You should be building your business in a cookie cutter type presentation. And this could happen immediately if you're on top of it early in practice, or it can happen through your career where you get to a point where you've had this system in place, documented and in practice, that you can hand this binder over to someone else and they can just keep rolling with it and get the same success you can. That's what we owe it to ourselves, number one, and to our profession, to the next person that takes over. I don't know anyone that runs a business that just wants to close the doors at the end and just be like, I just shut my doors. But I haven't seen it more in any other profession than chiropractic, where people are like, I'm just closing my office. I'm like, what? How does that make any sense? Like, so but anyways, that's a different podcast for a different day. But for you, these systems and procedures play. So how does ChiroMedia specifically work to deliver that message to people? And then can we use that on social media? Can we use that on other medias to develop a brand that's built for us?
Yeah, that's a great question and comment. And that's a problem that we tried to solve as well, because increasingly what's being put out there on social things, sometimes when they come in to the practice, there's a disconnect, right? So we made it so that it's customizable as well. So like I said, I think earlier, I knew that inherently the weakness is not everybody's going to like ChiroMedia's content, right? Not everyone thinks like Dr. Zoldy. Not everyone thinks like, hey, that's not my technique package. I'm more, whatever based, whether it's pediatrics or whatever. There's different ways of thinking. So we keep our content so that it's principle and science focused and not necessarily technique focused, first of all. It's customizable. So, a lot of people are getting very savvy, or their teams are pretty savvy using things like Canva, online editors, and they can create their own graphics and we offer some templates as well to get people started for simple things like, holiday announcements and that sort of thing. We want to keep people aware of what's going on, or workshops that are coming up. And so this is where it becomes a little more organic than automated. Like, we want to have that authenticity along with the automation. And the awesome thing is now, and you and I are tapping into this, is the world of AI. You can create this content. Anybody can create this content if you know how to get to pilot AI, right? So full transparency, we're using it. We're coming up with ideas that help people understand at a basic level very complex structures, right? Complex research. We can't throw Heidi Havoc, sense of self, cingulate gyrus. Like, we can't talk like that to a patient. We have to simplify it and say, like, that feeling that you get when you leave is real. Chiropractic can transform your life. It can transform the way your brain works. That's real.
Right.
And so that's where we're getting a little more cutting edge from, and we're actually seeking out those content providers. So what's really exciting in this last year is I've kind of come out of the lab, so to speak, from being entirely focused on the technology and making sure that it can be collaborative. I kind of bring up we're doing what Spotify did to Napster, right? You remember Napster?
Yeah.
Where new grads might not know what that is, but music sharing used to be like this, it was free for all. Like, you could just grab it from anybody who had it on a hard drive, and you didn't have to go to the local record store or CD store to buy it. So that was like the before even Apple Music existed, it was a free for all. And so I grew up in that era in my early career. It was a bit of a free for all. People were downloading stuff and sharing it, and you'd had DVDs, or even before that VHSs, and they could all be copied. And so it's like, I wanted to protect the product providers themselves and put it under a paywall so that what they're creating and broadcasting to subscribers is protected, right? So just thinking, like, the golden rule is do unto others as you'd want done unto yourself. We want to protect the product providers. At the same time, make it easily accessible for the consumer. And so that's what we've done by introducing it through an app, right? And a subscription-based service, so that it's, it's respectable, it's responsible, and it honors everybody, right? Still allowing the consumer to customize it. So,
yeah.
that's kind of a ramble about, how I've really been behind the scenes a lot, but now I'm emerging to really expand this to associations. We've got the Canadian National Alliance for Chiropractic on board. We're bringing on state associations in the States. We're just starting to onboard. I'm not so sure I should mention the name, but it's a very principled chiropractic college down your way. Getting into even the colleges so that they can be influential in, they're teaching the next generation of chiropractic. When they graduate and all the alumni, they want to be proud of where they came from. And it's almost like they get instant reputation by association. And so it's having that lion behind your back, so to speak, because I know a lot of docs, they kind of get beaten up, or they don't have the confidence to say what they really want to say. And it's like, well, shoot, why don't you? Like, okay, forget it. If you don't want to say it, let your TV say it.
It's so great. I hate defining people as extroverts and introverts, but the introverts should be jumping on this. They should be like, put it on my TV, tell them everything they need to know,
Right.
because it spurs. And introverts are really good at when a question is given to them, because now they're in their comfort zone. So when the TV stimulates something for the doctor that's introverted, I think of my wife, we practice together. I'm extroverted, she's introverted. I can talk about anything. You come in purple shoes, I'm like, ah, here we go, subluxation. So, can you still hear me? Good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. But so that's the whole point with introverts is they get the TV to do it, and then a direct question comes to them. Hey, I saw on the TV something about sacral subluxations. What is that? Does that really relate to anything with IBS or constipation? And be like, now an introvert thrives on that. But bigger than that is the constant messaging that's always there. And your app has tons of information. So it's not like the patient comes in, sits down, and says the same thing or sees the same thing all the time. And another thing is, I know a lot of chiros are thinking like, oh, I'm just going to do that myself. I'll put it on a PowerPoint, plug it in, and I'm good. I'm like, yeah, you said that in 2012, and you still don't have a waiting room slideshow going. Because it's not going to make it to the top of your list, and you're not going to get this done. And when you're done, you're going to be like, that's not that great. I got to add more to that. And then you're going to be like, oh, an event's coming up and I don't want to edit it. So Greg has solved all that for you. I'm just trying to get this podcast like to the point here. This is something so nominal that you just add and can play such a big role for all the people that I get the questions recently about, oh, what classes should I run? What workshops should I do? That because they're not doing them and they know now they're seeing, oh, maybe there's value to this. Let your media do the work for you. And they get the social media thing. Like I just worked with a newer client. They're like, our Instagram and Facebook is so important to us. It's our brand, and we can't have any typos. And I was like, you're right. But Greg and I are probably like, nah, we don't care what Facebook is. Facebook's just like a megaphone, and I'm going to post everything done better than perfect every single time. I can't write an email without a typo in it. So I'm done. I've been doing it for 20 years and I don't care. My emails have typos in them and I don't give a crap. I don't have time for this. But these newer grads are like, no, well, a typo, that's the worst thing you can do. I'm like, trust me, it's not the worst thing you can do. Better than copy and pasting ChatGPT. I think people are more alert to that right now. They're like, oh, that's AI, isn't it? And that I think hurts you more than being authentic. And your media can be very authentic if you streamline it. And you've solved that, which is really cool. So chiromedia.com or .ca?
Right now it's chiromedia.app.
App. So what you're going to do is you're going to stop the podcast or finish it, and you're going to go there, check it out. Look what Greg's built, and look how you can implement this directly into your, like on Monday. Like honestly, he'll send in the mail and you're off and to the races and going on this. And then the customization's done on the website, right? You get a login, you do this. You don't have to email you every single time for anything.
No, every user gets it's basically like a user dashboard. So
yeah,
it's
like
and you can manage it from anywhere. You can add team members, and then you subscribe to the different channels that are congruent with your style of practice or an association that you belong to. Like I said, we are building the network, and so if there are, like even like Florida State, we're working with Washington State right now. I'm heading out there to the ChiroFest. And it's like there's benefits. They can be the associations or the groups can have a private channel. So if they sign up with an affiliate link and they're like, hey, we just want this for our people, they can have a private channel. Yeah, we're doing this for TRP, for example. You know, the Remarkable Practice, and they have,
Mhm.
to your point, even just about doing presentations and such. We made it that I was fed up with having separate systems for patient education on a screen, and then I got to freaking pull out my laptop and hook up a wire to present my, you know, my workshop or my doctor report. So I just said, hey guys, my developers, I'm like, can we just make this so that I can upload my doctor report and use the same damn remote for clicking through? And they're like, yeah, we'll just call it presenter mode. And so they upload, you can schedule your doctor report for 6 o'clock on Tuesday night. When you do it, you go click, click, presenter, and away you go. No extra wires, no extra computers. So it's really, you know, I've solved problems that I encounter myself. So it's built by a chiropractor in the trenches
Yeah,
who's
and you're not a new grad. I mean, 2001. I mean, you've been doing this for a while, so it's you've learned through, I think, all three phases of marketing, because 2001 was the beginning of like Google. I mean,
Mhm.
Google search and the internet. Really, to be honest with you, I'm just a little bit behind you there. And I remember cost per click and getting into all that. I've been doing Google ever since. So you've seen the phases, and the importance of that is the seller's desire to buy. You know what that is, and I think that's only comes with time, and you got to learn that. I joke with new grads and even my patients. I'm a better psychologist than I am a chiropractor, because of all of the conversations I've had to have over the years. There's three underlying causes to everything: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And it's just repetitive, and it's just unique for each and every person. So you can sell this to them, and you have to have that constant table talk going all the time. And it's tough. You're human. Some days you're tired, some days you forget to give people business cards, some days you're rushed. You're doing adjustments pretty quick, and the TV and the media is doing your work. People follow you on social media. They come into your office and they just get this, they get engulfed into the chiropractic lifestyle, and they're getting the media all the time. And all you need to do is just now and then do the right thing. Send an email, remind them, invite them to Get Better Faster workshop on Thursday nights, and just keep that cycle going. And that's how your business and your practice just grows. So you've got an intricate piece. And the reason why I keep harping on the same thing on this podcast is because it's so easy to overlook this piece. We're so quick to dump 1,000 or 2,000 into Google ads. We're so fast to go into Facebook lead generation and mess with that on the phone with people that don't even know what you're selling. But if they saw some of your media, I think you'd have some better leads on this, right? So building that stuff. So that's why I asked you at the beginning, can we cross post this stuff on our social media? Absolutely. It's media.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've really niched into the area of internal. Not to say we can't be used external, but again, what we want to do is by honoring our providers, Enrico, like this is sort of like the next level stuff of we're keeping it to TV screens. And so we don't want to just sort of I don't want to become a social guy, a social media guy.
No. And I was saying, if you're going in there and customizing this, let's say I want to talk about Blair upper cervical, and I put all my slides on there.
Yeah, totally.
I just created them all in Canva anyways. I got it. I can just take that graphic and put it on my social media.
Yep.
Yeah, it's multi-purpose. I'm all about multi-purpose. Like this podcast, I can splice this into tons of 60-second bit content and shoot it across all platforms. But all I did was spend some time with Greg for 30 minutes and created the content. Now I've got dozens of pieces of content that I can reuse. And that's the same thing with internal media. Yes, you're keeping it proprietary for your providers and all that. And then the fundamental basis of that is not as easy as copy and paste. I understand that. But we're all going to customize this. No one's just going to go plug and play. And I think they're going to put a workshop in there, or they're going to say, hey, we're closed on Christmas, or Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah. They're going to put something in there that's unique to their practice, right? So that's what I'm trying to say is everything, you got to think, we're in 2025. You have to be able to do 5 things at the same time or else you can't keep up. You literally can't keep up. And you do have a tool. And I think anyone that uses this, learn it with Greg, get it into your practice, and then call me up and I'll show you how to multitask this inside of your practice so that your patients get bombarded with the same information. Whether you're a Gonstead doctor or an upper cervical doctor or a pediatric doctor, you can bombard them. And when you do that, you'd make a shift in their life. And now all they can do is talk about chiropractic. It may be short-lived. It may be those first 30 days that you work with a new patient, but You know what I'm talking about. Those people that get lit on fire at the beginning are the ones that just become great referrers for the rest of their lives. They're constantly referring to your office, and you know who they are. You can name them off the top of your head, those patients, because they're the ones you're like, how do I replicate you and make 100 of you? Because then I'll never have to market again in my life.
You brought up another problem that I've solved, and I think it may speak to a niche of chiropractors, not necessarily all of them, but to the docs that have franchises, multiple locations. Success creates problems, right? And so for every sort of success, you got to figure that next step out. It does create another problem, is how am I going to make this consistent across multiple locations? And so with ChiroMedia, you can log into one account, manage all your devices, and either have all the same content or different content based on the location. And so again, just in simplification, just thinking, because it became out of a need. I had a doc approach me at a conference. He's like, I've got 5 locations and one of the locations has 15 TVs. I'm like, whoa, you just blew my mind. So I got to solve the problem, right? And it's like, I needed to make it affordable. I need to figure out the logistics, who's going to manage it. And so we just solved that problem for them. It's one account, all your devices are listed, and you just basically schedule all the content you want for each TV. You can even dial it in to specific times of the day. Like, I'm talking about some of the features just because I love that. I geek out about it. But I'm like, I don't know about you, but not every day is the same in practice. Not every hour is the same in practice. After 3:15 on a Thursday, it is bonkers in my practice with all the kids running around, right? So we really do cater to the audience. We want family-based, kid-based chiropractic, even entertainment and fun stuff on there that the seniors aren't going to want to watch when they're in at noon hour, So it's after they've just come from their gin rummy tournament. So it's like, it's all different. It's dynamic, and we've really, dotted our I's and crossed our T's, and we're still like, it's built. We made this so that we can build it with the profession to solve the problems that are coming up. And right now, the subluxation-based chiropractors are in a bit of an identity crisis, and they're a little bit worried about the future of what they value chiropractic to be. And so we're trying to onboard and really, get the associations and the organizations and the researchers about subluxation and make sure that chiropractic in its essence and its principle is not lost. Right. And yes, we can coexist with pain-based chiropractors and all that. It's all this infighting and stuff is incessant, and it's always been there, but it's like, I kind of like it because it means that we still exist.
We still have passion. That's what I found out with all this. It used to infuriate me, and now I'm like, man, it's actually great. We still fight. We still fight. It's good. I think it's more scary if we lose that fight. If everyone's like, who cares?
Yeah,
evidence or subluxation doesn't matter. Then I think that's when we're hooped. But if we're fighting, I think it's always great, because all great civilizations have always moved with internal fighting all the time. So
choice and democracy.
I think that's, I don't know if I'm just spinning something bad into something good just so I can survive. But I think that's a great thing in what we're doing. And I think what you're doing is a great thing. So check out chiromedia.app. It's only evolving. It's only getting better. But I think it's already great. So bring it into your office. It's a plug and play system. You're off and running on Monday morning. You don't have to think about it. And then your team can tinker with it and make it more customizable for your office. So check it out. Thanks for everything you do, Greg. This is huge. I mean, you're coming on a podcast, but you've worked hard for this to get to this point, and it's a very clean, and I like it, modern way to distribute chiropractic. And it's not the old fashioned, patient media. What was Bill Esteb, right? His stuff is great, but it hasn't been updated since 1994. And it's okay, but he delivers the message. Yours is updated. Yours is modern. Yours is sleek. I love it. And then check him out there. And then if they need to reach you in any other way, is it all through the website, or can they find you on Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, you could just Google my name there, I guess. But it's chiromedia.app. All my information for contacting me is on there. Greg Zoldy at chiromedia.tv, or Greg Zoldy, Greg at chiromedia.app is another way you can get a hold of me. And yeah, thanks for having me on here, because what I'm most excited about this isn't the technology. It's about the relationships that we're building. It's about the community that we're building. It's about bringing everybody together so that we're stronger together. And that's, really what really gets me going every day. It gets me engaged in making ChiroMedia better and delivering it to the profession.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, and leave a rating. It helps get our podcast out to more listeners. Also, join Marketing 101 for Chiropractors on Facebook, or visit us at enricod.com for more information on growing and scaling your business.